Hey y'all, welcome back to Between Sessions. Per usual, this episode is extremely personal to me. However, I'm going to take my personal bias completely out of this and we're going to just talk straight facts today with very little opinion, okay? I've seen this take be very hot lately, and if I'm being honest, the last year and a half that I've been in grad school practicing counseling to become a therapist, I've heard things like this way more times than I care to admit. So I'm going to share a few things that I've heard, and then we're going to talk about it. Top 3, never date a therapist. Imagine arguing with a therapist. And my favorite of them all, they're going to psychoanalyze you 24/7. And look, I get it, okay? On the surface, this sounds fucking terrifying. Like, imagine you're in mid-argument and they hit you with something like, let's explore why you're feeling triggered right now. I hear you. They're not trying to fix anything or explore anything in that moment. They're trying to win the argument. But I think that this take is a little overplayed because if we're being real, someone in this field or someone who practices therapy could actually be one of the healthiest dynamics you could be in if it's done right. So let's kill the stereotype, okay? First of all, good therapists are not walking around diagnosing people in their personal lives. We learn this in school. We learn this in practice. We learn this in the field. You cannot diagnose the people that are around you in your personal lives. It becomes messy. The dynamic does not work. If they are diagnosing people in their personal lives, it's not they're a therapist. It's that they have poor boundaries, okay? A healthy, trained therapist understands when to be a partner, when to not step into professional mode, and that relationships are mutual, not clinical. So if someone is constantly analyzing you like a case study, that's not a green flag. That's annoying as hell, and I totally get it. Now let's talk about the part that people ignore, okay? The actual benefits that no one talks about. Dating someone in this field can come with some serious advantages, y'all. Their emotional awareness is usually higher. They're trained to recognize patterns, triggers, and behaviors. And that doesn't mean perfect though, okay? But it means that they're not completely clueless. People in this field, communication tends to be more intentional. They know how to listen without immediately reacting. They tend to ask better questions, and they can actually process conflict, which, let's be so for real, is fucking rare. Good, healthy therapists, they value growth, okay? They're not afraid of self-reflection, accountability, doing that uncomfortable work, and that is what actually makes a relationship last. They're not your free therapist though. Let's clear something up really fucking quick. Just because someone is a therapist does not mean that they want to be your therapist. There's this weird expectation that comes with dating someone in the field to where people assume, oh, you should be able to handle all of my emotions, or you should know how to deal with this, or you should help me work through everything. And it's like, no, they are still a human being in a relationship, okay? They don't clock out of work just to clock into another unpaid, unemotional shift at home. If anything, therapists need space to not be the regulated one all the time. They need a partner who can hold their own. So ironically, if you're dating a therapist and expecting them to carry you emotionally, that's probably the fastest way to burn that relationship out. Now, the plot twist that nobody wants to admit. Here's a part that is going to ruffle some feathers a little bit. A lot of people don't actually want to date someone emotionally aware. They say that they do, but when you're with someone who calls things out calmly, doesn't engage in toxic patterns, expects healthy communication, it feels uncomfortable. Because now you can't deflect. You cannot avoid or hide behind chaos. You actually have to show up. And with a healthy therapist, the standard might be higher. Let's talk about something people don't like to admit. Dating a therapist might mean that the bar's higher, not in a judgmental way, but in a self-awareness way, because you're dealing with someone who understands patterns, recognizes avoidance, can spot emotional immaturity pretty quickly. So the usual tricks, they don't really work. You cannot gaslight your way out of things, dodge accountability, or pretend you didn't know. And for some people, that feels intense. But here's the flip side. That same standard applies to them too. A good partner, good therapist partner, isn't just holding you accountable. They're holding themselves accountable too. And that's where it comes healthy, not one-sided. Let's be honest though, there are real risks, okay? Let's not romanticize this either. There are downsides if it's not balanced. They might over intellectualize emotions. They might struggle to turn that work mode off, and they might unintentionally feel like they always have the upper hand in communication. And that can create a weird dynamic if you're not grounded in yourself, because the relationship should never feel like one person is the expert and the other is a student. Now, conflict might look and be calm. This one might throw people off because when people think arguing with a therapist, they think being analyzed, being calmly destroyed with logic. But in reality, a healthy therapist partner might actually argue better than most people, meaning less yelling, less chaos, less emotional escalation, more pauses, clarity, and intentional responses. And I'm going to be honest, if you're used to chaotic or emotional intense relationships, that kind of conflict can feel weird at first. Almost like, wait, why are we not spiraling, right? Because your nervous system is used to dysfunctional feeling like passion. So calm communication might feel boring until you realize it's actually fucking peaceful. Now, they will see you clearly, which is kind of scary. Here's a real one, y'all. Dating someone who understands human behavior on a deeper level means they're probably going to see you in a way most people don't. Not in a judgmental way, but in a, I understand why you react like that. I see your patterns forming. I notice what you're not saying type of way, right? And that can feel vulnerable, exposing, and a little uncomfortable because you can't hide behind surface level behavior. But if you're with someone safe, that level of being seen is actually what creates emotional intimacy. Now, the ego, okay? A little spicy here. Tiny hot take, okay? Some therapists, not all, do not come for me unless I send for you, can have a little bit of, I understand emotions better than you energy. And if it's not kept in check, it can turn into condescending attitudes, always needing to be right, over explaining your own feelings to you. And that's where things go left, because in a relationship, knowledge does not equal authority. You don't get to use your education as a weapon. So again, it comes back to the person, not the profession. Now, what actually makes it work? Here's the real question. It's not should I date a therapist? It's are they a healthy person who happens to be a therapist? Because the degree doesn't matter if they lack self-awareness, they don't apply what they know, they use their knowledge to control instead of connect. But if they have boundaries, respect you as an equal, and do their own internal work, that's not intimidating, that's secure. This might actually heal some patterns, y'all. Here's the part I really like. If you've been in a relationship where communication was bad, emotions were dismissed, conflict was toxic, dating someone who actually has the tools might feel like a whole reset. You might learn how to express yourself better, how to regulate emotions, what healthy conflict actually looks like. Not because they're teaching you, but because you're experiencing something different in real time. And that can be really powerful. Now, instead of saying, imagine arguing with a therapist, y'all, maybe the better question is, imagine arguing with someone who actually knows how to communicate. Because the goal isn't to win arguments, it's to resolve them. And most people were never taught how to do that. The bottom line, at the end of the day, dating a therapist isn't automatically amazing or terrible. It's just a profession. What matters is how they show up as a partner, because you can have a therapist who is emotionally unavailable or someone with zero training who is incredibly emotionally intelligent. So instead of focusing on the title, focus on their consistency, their accountability, their ability to connect, because that's what actually determines whether a relationship works. So no, dating a therapist isn't automatically a red flag. If anything, it might challenge you in ways that are actually good for you. The real red flag is someone who avoids growth altogether. So if you find someone who is self-aware, communicates well, and is willing to do the work, I don't care if they're a therapist, a mechanic, or a barista. That's a fucking win. Honestly, if you're scared to date someone who understands emotions, you might want to ask yourself why that feels threatening, okay? I want you guys to stop and think about this episode for a while and let me know your opinions. I'm extremely curious to see if you guys avoid certain job titles or certain professions when dating just because of what could possibly come with it. Drop in the comments, what is a profession that you absolutely do not want to date and why? Is it a therapist? I'm curious. Thanks for sticking around, you guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Like, share, comment, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.